Almost 3 years ago now, NIL became legal in college football. While for years many big-time players have been taking deals under the table, everything became legal and out in the open in July of 2021. A lot of big-time stars signed big-time deals, whether it was playing cards, restaurants, airlines, pretty much you name it, big-time players and big-time athletes were getting huge deals. For the first time ever, college football athletes could pretty much do whatever they want, and money could be funneled into the sport like we have never seen. One of the first big stars to take NIL deals was Marvin Harrison Jr. He's obviously the son of former Hall of Fame wide receiver Marvin Harrison, and he was one of the first big athletes to get a huge payday. Except, we are now slowly starting to see the dark side of NIL. We're seeing legal disputes, we're seeing agencies not fulfill their promises, and all the ugly stuff is starting to come to the surface. Just a couple of days ago, it was announced that Marvin Harrison Jr. and Fanatics are in a legal dispute. Fanatics says that Marvin Harrison did not fulfill his contract, while Marvin said he never had a deal with them. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, and could Marvin Harrison Jr. be the first big athlete to get screwed over by all this? In today's video, we're going to examine all the different articles and all the different information we have, and try and find out if this scandal is legit, or if it's just a bunch of fluff. Pretty much everyone knows at this point that Fanatics is the most hated sports apparel company in the world, so for a lot of people, they're hoping that Fanatics crashes and burns because of this. But will that happen? I don't really know, and we're going to examine it. But before we get started, if you're a big college football fan, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I could cover next. Now let's get started and talk about this Marvin Harrison Jr. Fanatics stuff. While I seriously doubt anybody who clicked on this video doesn't know who Marvin Harrison Jr. is, I'm going to go quickly back in time and bring you guys up to speed on his career. He is the son of former Hall of Fame and Colts wide receiver Marvin Harrison, and like father like son, Marvin Harrison Jr. was always a big deal. Alongside Kyle McCord, the two would completely dominate at St. Joseph's Prep, which is located in Philly, and both of them would become big-time recruits. McCord was a 5-star quarterback, and Harrison Jr. was a high 4-star wide receiver. Despite having a huge name, he was still listed outside of the top 100, and this kind of fooled a lot of people. He won 3 straight championships and had nearly 3,000 yards and 37 touchdowns in his career. It was kind of shocking, but he would arrive at Ohio State with a lot of fanfare. He impressed early on in the spring game, and as a freshman he was somewhat limited, catching 11 passes for 139 yards and 3 touchdowns. He ended up having his coming out party in the Rose Bowl against Utah, catching 6 passes for 70 yards and 3 touchdowns. In 2022, Harrison Jr. would once again explode, finishing the year with 77 catches for 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns. They made it all the way to the college football playoff, and Harrison was considered the best player in college football going into 2023. While pretty much everyone in the world tried to stop him, he still had a huge year. He caught 67 passes for 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns, and not only won the Blitnikoff, but was a Heisman finalist and now a top 5 pick. He was taken at pick number 4 by the Arizona Cardinals, and it looked like on paper everything was great for him. He had a star-studded career at Ohio State, cashed a ton of checks in terms of NIL money, and was now going to be an NFL star and make even more money and have more success. Except now we have to hold the phone. He might be in some trouble here. As of earlier this afternoon, the famous sports apparel company Fanatics has decided to sue Marvin Harrison Jr. This is a bold and risky move, and is honestly really interesting. Apparently, there was an agreed upon contract that Marvin Harrison Jr. did not fulfill, and as he goes to the NFL, they want to get their money back and they want to fix it. This is really risky, and one side is going to end up getting burned. If Marvin Harrison Jr. loses this, he could be out a ton of money and get in some big trouble. If Fanatics loses, then not only does their PR go down even more, but then there's pretty much going to be no big-time athlete who wants to sign with them in college. Honestly, I'm not really sure why Fanatics is even going after him, because it doesn't seem like there's that much upside here. They already make a ton of money, and at best, you get a couple $1 million, and at worst, you lose out on years of big-time athletes. But you guys are probably wondering, what actually happened here in terms of Marvin Harrison Jr. and them? Well, apparently on Saturday, Fanatics decided to file a lawsuit against him, as he apparently breached contract. It ended up being a 17-page long lawsuit, and Fanatics said that Harrison did not fulfill his contractual obligations, and he later said the deal at the company did not exist. Fanatics requested a jury trial, and they're estimating potential damages in the millions of dollars. Okay, this is really interesting. Honestly, at this point, I'm going to keep reading from this web news story. According to the complaint, Fanatics reached a multi-year agreement with Harrison in 2023, and this is while he was still at Ohio State. Initially, Fanatics entered a limited promotion and license agreement with him, and it was set to end in April of 2024, just before the NFL draft. But, recognizing Harrison's potential, they decided to initiate talks for a longer deal with him. At the time, he was represented by his father, and per court documents, after quote, extensive negotiations, the parties finalized a bidding term sheet on May 16th of 2023. Harrison ended up signing the agreement that day, and Fanatics representatives would sign it 2 days later. Details of it are redacted, but they described Harrison's compensation as significant. We also don't necessarily know what the obligations were, but apparently they would pay Marvin in August and October of 2023, but he did not fulfill what the contract said he needed to do. They said that he then ignored or rejected the company's attempts to get him to do what he needed to do, and then later, he publicly said that the agreement never happened. According to the complaint, he said that other trading card companies made him competing offers, and he demanded Fanatics meet or exceeded those offers. When Fanatics would ask to see the competing offers, he refused to show them. Fanatics also said that Harrison and his representatives disclosed confidential information about their agreement in an attempt to mislead the public. So far it sounds like Fanatics signed him to a deal that went until 2023. This was after he had a tremendous season, and after all his projections of him being a top 5 draft pick started last spring, they wanted to get him signed before other bigger companies went after him. They got him signed, and maybe they lowballed him a little bit. Marvin Harrison then realized his potential and how much he should be making, and tried to demand them to pay him more. That's seemingly what my guess is right now, but I have no idea if he really didn't fulfill the contract obligations, or if it's just pure and utter legalism, and they're getting him on technicalities, and are just being greedy. Probably the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Continuing on in the article, on April 23rd, just a couple days before this year's draft, Fanatics said that Marvin Harrison Sr. requested a copy of the binding term sheet. He would do this on his son's behalf, and per the suit, when Fanatics provided it and asked for a conversation, Marvin Harrison Sr. told them that they did not have a deal. Fanatics then tried to make a couple of resolutions, and from there it was apparently unsuccessful. Now they're obviously filing against him, and this is definitely getting a little bit murky. However, a source told ESPN earlier this month that the deal was apparently for $1 million, and that the contract was for autographs, signed trading cards, game-worn apparel, and other marketing opportunities. The suit also says that the official Harrison Collective LLC was selling signed memorabilia through their website. This included photos ranging from $99 to $149 and jerseys at $300. And there was also a helmet for nearly $550, and the site said there was Cardinals memorabilia coming soon. It also stated it was the only website to purchase signed Harrison memorabilia, and I guess this breached contract because maybe Fanatics was supposed to have the rights to that. I'm not quite sure what's really going on here, but in my opinion, what it sounds like is that Harrison Jr. signed a deal, probably kind of towed the line in terms of fulfilling it, and then also went his own way to make more money and cut out the middleman. That's seemingly what that website was, and maybe he thought he could get away with it, or maybe the dad thought they could get away with it, or maybe everybody's guilty. I don't really know, but that is my best guess. Now, I think Fanatics is trying to take a stand here, basically send the message that they're not going to get used again. While many people hate the monopoly of Fanatics, they still are the biggest sports brand for this stuff, and there's going to be plenty of athletes who, when contacted and given a chance to make big money and get their name out there, are going to sign that line. They've determined that even if Marvin Harrison wins the case and it damages PR, that it's not going to affect them in the long run, and that setting the tone and going hard against these NIL things is what they want to do. To me, I would have just let it go, but many people are rooting for Harrison to win this. One comment on the Athletics article said, quote, "I don't need to read any further than Fanatics. That garbage company is the worst thing to happen to the fan experience in sport." Going off what I've said earlier, they pretty much have a monopoly now, and to be honest, have really ruined sports memorabilia. So this guy is not alone in rooting for them to fall hard, for the athletes to win, and for that company to get destroyed. Personally, I kinda am too. Another comment said, quote, "Here's another major downside of NIL. Young people are entering into deals without the proper legal representation, and if Harrison loses, he could end up playing for free for a long time." In terms of my thoughts on that, I think this will affect athletes in the future. I think a lot of these 18 through 21-year-old kids really have no idea what's going on, and as someone who's in their early 20s myself, heck, I don't really know how legal stuff really works either, and there's a lot of dishonesty in the NIL world right now, so Harrison could be the first of many to get burnt, and if he does lose this, and they are suing, then as the guy said, yeah, he will end up playing for free for a little bit, because a lot of his money is going to go to paying that off. I'm sure this is not a welcome distraction for Harrison, as he's currently trying to adjust to life in Phoenix, Arizona, and get comfortable with his new quarterback Kyler Murray and get ready for his rookie year. The guy already has enough pressure on him, and this definitely isn't going to help. But I have no idea what's going to happen, and this is something I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on. I don't really know why I decided to make a video about it, and I'm sure some people down in the comment section below will say I'm an Ohio State hater, but I'm not. I'm just talking about the story and giving my thoughts. But what do you guys think? If you're an Ohio State fan or just a football fan in general, what do you think of this case? What do you think should happen? And how should these things be handled moving forwards? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.